Hey everybody, welcome back to another night of Walk It Out. My name is Gretchen Cannon. I am the community pastor at Grace Church in Choctaw, and this is Shanna. And we are continuing the series on the Eastern Oklahoma County Resource Center, just to bring awareness and definition and some of those things to it. And Shanna was on and just talked about some different types of things, like even how the Lord brought awareness to her of the Resource Center. Mm-hmm. And then you went on a journey to try in one day to run 100 miles. I'm like, a day? Could you even run 100 miles in a day? I'm like, wow. Anyway, that's crazy. And you ended up making it 80?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't run. I don't know if I've ran 80 miles in my 46 years. But
I'm sure you've done many other things.
Yeah. Oh, set that many miles.
Yeah. Yes.
Traveled in a car. Uh-huh. Yeah. Anyway, we were just talking though. You really need to catch that episode. If you missed that, it's a really cool story about just different things. And even what she's doing now with the resources, to be able to be provided, you're on the board, different things like that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that she really got to share is how love can change everything, and how we have to have love for ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I know one of the things, because of your personal journey, the Lord's taken you on and is currently taking you on.
Right.
It's about being sourced. And I know that was really on your heart to share with them and to just talk about where does that come from, and is that something we just muster up?
Right.
What does it look like? And your personal testimony on it. Mm-hmm. Do we self-strive? What does that look like?
Yeah. So after our conversation, I was thinking about what we were talking about. And I thought about how we had said, love can change everything. And then I was thinking about the people that will be watching that do self-strive, and that like I did and still do and have to really pay attention to a lot. And I thought, man, I really don't want to give anyone the wrong impression that all we have to do is love and that will change the world. I think it's very important, but what's most important is that we know that our love is sourced from God. Yeah. Because when it's not, then you start to get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. You start to feel burnt out. Then you start reaching for other things to supplement you because you're so drained.
You're really not abiding.
Right.
That word abide means to live, remain connected to Him, as source.
Right.
And so when you disconnect, and we're talking about your soul, if you're born again and regenerated, your spirit abides 100% of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're from the moment you are born again till you go to heaven, and you're with Him in His presence, right? Mm-hmm. But we're talking about our soul, our body, everything remaining in. Right. And that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking a lot about how to get involved with the EOCRC and how there's so many different avenues. And I just wanted to come back to talk again, because I thought, well, the last thing I want people to do is just start diving in and then using their own personal self-striving to feel better, or to think, or to do things they think that they need to do for the community. It's really about, first of all, making sure that you are connected to God, because He will lead you on that path of where you need to be.
Yeah.
And then making sure that you are loving out of His love.
Yeah.
That you're doing things because of the love that's being filled in you from God. One of the things I was thinking about too is I'm sure there's a lot of people, as myself, not that long ago, that don't know where to start, and also maybe already feel depleted and don't understand how to get to where they need to be.
Yeah. Right. Right. Absolutely.
And so,
because you can be in that mind, almost in the cycle of well, I've got to do more. I want to do more. How do I do more? And
Right.
it's like this cycle over and over and over instead of just stopping.
Yes.
And reconnecting to him, renewing your mind, putting everything into the focus of him. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Because the one thing that I did that was helpful was I talked about this in the last video, is that I pulled myself away from the job that was completely like sucking all of my energy and everything away from me. And I didn't even have time to even think about like really fully think about my connection and my relationship with God. At least that's what I felt at the time.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to kind of look in your life and see like, what are the things that are like sucking you dry? What are the things that you're doing that maybe you could shift or change or alter in some kind of way so that it gives you more of that time that you need? Because we really do need time every day. All throughout the day, we need to be able to have that relationship with God so that we can make sure, like, because that's where we're grounded, in him, is by staying connected with him. And so if you're so overwhelmed with your job or the things you're volunteering with or whatever it is that you're connected to, then that's like a red flag. That's like your first sign that you need to step back and see what you need to not do.
Yeah.
So that you can have like a closer relationship. So by doing that, I was able to do more with the EOCRC. I participated and still do with the summer lunch program. That's something that my daughter and I do together. Also, just started getting more involved with church, with the youth. And these are all things that at the time I wasn't quite sure. Like there was something you had mentioned to me before about how like God illuminates one step at a time.
The light into the light into your path, the lamp, all of that.
Yes.
And one means like the whole path is illuminated, and one is like just the step in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was something I was thinking about, like for listeners that, if you aren't exactly sure where you're supposed to be in the community, like in what way are you supposed to serve, even just in your family, in your community, in your church, just to step out in that faith and get involved somehow. And then like as you're involved, you'll meet new people, which I did. You'll your heart will open more to like different relationships and different ways that you can participate in his love with others. And so I thought it would be important to kind of just explain those steps, because I myself was in like a deep, dark hole and didn't know how to get out. And this was after the 80-mile run, the run for hope that I did. It was like almost after that, because this was also like during 2020, 2021, 22, when things were changing drastically in all of our lives. There was lots of, and still are like lots of different things going on in our society that can really pull you in. And lead you to like despair and stress and anxiety. And I got looped into that. Like I really did. And so it was really through our church and the EOCRC that I was able to like stay connected in a way that like helped me be surrounded by people that could then just kind of sow into me, so that then so that I could then like see a little bit further, in front of me, through like God works through other people, to help you see him. And so I thought that was important to share, because it's not like, like the strength that we have, it does come from him. But when like we can misunderstand that, like the verse that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Right. I was explaining this to my daughter the other day, because that's one of her favorite verses too. And it's like, that doesn't mean that we can do all things and that Christ will strengthen us. that means that he strengthens us for all the things that he wants us to do.
And has before us. Everything we encounter today, we have his strength.
Yes.
Whether it's things we wanted to or whether things that we didn't want to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because our plan is not always God's plan.
Right.
So it's just important to like really step back and look at that. Which is why I was trying to like understand, okay, where are the red flags, and how do I know that I'm like getting into a mess or getting off of the path?
Yeah. Right. Well, that scripture is in Psalm 119, which I thought it was, I just couldn't remember. And I kept seeing a lantern. That's why I was like, but it's thy word is a lamp unto my feet. And I'm like, like it's right here. If we have a lamp, as in it's not plugged into the wall, but like it's battery operated, we can only see right here where our feet are. And then it says, and a light unto our path. Mm-hmm. And the light, like when we have a light on a path, like a street with street lights, you can see when you're on a road and there's no street lights, it's dark.
Yeah.
You can only see where you have, like maybe it's your phone flashlight or something,
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that when you had mentioned that before, because I'm like, man, that's where I am right now. Mm-hmm. Like I have this like renewed relationship with God. I am fully like trusting him now, because I wasn't trusting him before, not with my whole life anyways, just like in bits and pieces. But seeing like stepping into that with faith, knowing that like things like the rest of the path will be shown to me when he's ready to show me. Yeah.
So good. So good. I keep being reminded of John 15, where it talks about abide in me and I will abide in you. Mm-hmm. And like we are just to be connected. Like we are a branch that is connected to Jesus, the vine. And if we go off and do our own thing, like we die. Like we are cut away. We are not doing anything anymore with him. Right. And it talks about like you'll bear much fruit. And that word fruit is two life streams coming together to produce something that is eternal. And so like Shanna and I together cannot produce something that is eternal. We can produce some fruit. It may look a little fake, like that nice looking plastic stuff, right? Right. But Shanna and Jesus together, they can produce something that is eternal. That lives forever. Yeah. It's so good.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like the other thing that I keep thinking of now, now that I'm just understanding things better, is like, it does take you saying yes all the time, every day, with everything that you're doing. It's not like
and saying yes to Jesus.
Yes.
Every time. Not yes to everything.
Yes. Exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah. Yeah. Just saying yes, you can do it all. No.
Yes and yes and yes.
Right. No, that goes against what we were just talking about. Yeah. Saying yes to Jesus.
Yeah.
Because that's how everything else is strengthened.
Yeah. There's a song called Obedience, and I don't remember who it's by, but it says, I will love you with my yes. And I'm like, that's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Not like I'm going to go do this, but like, yes, I acknowledge that you're in me. Yes, I acknowledge that I'm a child of God. Yeah. Yes, I choose to partner with you today, not go do something by myself. Mm-hmm. Where they're striving and working and effort, and the burden is heavy. Mm-hmm. But it's yes to him whose burden is light. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you do that, it just made me think of this other podcast that I was listening to about this woman that was kind of ministering to others. And she was talking about this, he's like a truck driver, and how he felt like he wasn't like living his like the path that God wanted him to live. But the thing is that everywhere that he was driving, like every interaction that he had, he made a point to like really show like the love of God and like interact with people in a loving and kind way. and like being very generous and then always speaking the word. And so he was a truck driver, or he is a truck driver, but that doesn't, like, you can be anything.
Yeah.
You can do anything. So
just do it with him.
Yes. It doesn't,
so fruit will be produced.
Right. It doesn't have to look a certain way.
Right.
I think sometimes we get wrapped up in that and like what we think it should look like, and that's, I think, our like human selves, you know, our minds that are just trying to trick us into like saying you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, you know, you don't look the right way or whatever. But it's literally whatever it is that God wants you to do, you just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I wanted to just be like very clear about like, yes, love literally can and will change everything. I actually, I even with the way, so this is May 10th, 2023, and I'm saying right now, I do really believe that love will overcome everything. There's so much going on in our world, in our country, in our communities. Like there's just a lot of people grabbing for things that aren't God.
Right.
But I think that through us and with us abiding, and that can be very difficult at times because there are so many pulls in different directions. I do think that is what is going to overcome, because people need to see that and they need to understand that. And the only way that they can is by us abiding and showing that.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by like love will change everything.
Yeah. And God is the definition of love. We can't even love him apart from him.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
We I want to love you, but actually he immersed the faith inside of us for us to be able to love him.
Yes.
It's super cool.
It is. When you start to really, like when it starts to make sense in your head and you're like understanding everything, it is like, it's really amazing.
Yeah. I remember the day when you were baptized at my house, and that morning, like maybe that whole weekend, I don't remember, but like you were so going through this mindset shift. And like the Lord kept encountering you and you kept saying, yes, you know, like I'm going to like take it all in. And you were just like, oh my gosh, it was so fun to watch. It was so fun. But all you were doing is really experiencing his divine life.
Right.
Like his self-existent life, which is Zoe life, one of the Greek words for life. And you were experiencing his self-existent life inside of you.
Yes.
And it was just oozing out everywhere. And it was great.
It took me letting go of all the things that I continued to grasp onto, like thinking, because I didn't have like that full trust in him. And I always tell my girls now, it's like, you can't trust in God and have a plan in your back pocket. Yeah. And that's exactly what I was doing. Like I really wasn't fully trusting in God. I kept sustaining myself in ways and I wasn't allowing him into my heart in lots of different places. Yeah. And so and this was during the season of Lent. Yeah. So I participated in that and I was like, okay, I'm going to let go. I'm going to fast on the things that I'm saving myself with right now, because I just knew, like, I kept trying to figure out how to like fully surrender. Yeah. And it takes you surrendering your, like all of the things that you do to save yourself, all of the things that you think are giving you that security. Yeah. And that's what finally led me to that day, which was really amazing, because we came up to the altar. Steve had asked, like, if you want to hear God better, come up to the altar and then we all pray on each other. And the lady who I'd never met at that time, she put her hand on my back and she had said some things to me that were clearly from God, that I had been having these conversations with him in my own head. Mm-hmm. And both her and Annie said that, God sustains you. Yeah. Like that you are not the one that is supposed to keep yourself together and hold yourself together. And so that's like all of these things led up to that moment, which is why it was oozing out, because I finally trusted in that. I trusted in him. I finally understood, like, if you really want to be one with God, you have to let yourself go, you know, and stop trying to control everything, you know? Yeah. So that's.
Yeah. Let go of your thoughts, let go of your mindset, all of those things. Yeah. Right. Let go of it. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I love just how she came back with like how she got involved in the resource center and what the Lord was doing in her. And then how she even started identifying, oh, Shanna, you're doing these things without him, even for the resource center, even for your family, even for your job. And you're not including him. You're sourcing yourself, and you were dry and dead, not spiritually dead, but like there was no zeal. There was no overflow.
Yeah. It was really just a lot of like anxiety and panic and like, and even just like despair, like just not understanding, you know, how to keep moving forward, you know, with this.
Right. And then she started having that revelation, like, I'm striving. I need to quit striving, and I need to renew my mind to who I am, whose I am, and say yes to him all the time and everything I do. And you were like a different person.
Yeah. It started with opening my heart to him. Because before, if I ever would have said that, like, Shanna, you're striving, then I would have been like, I hate when I do that. Or, you know, like having
so dumb, all that negative self-talk
stuff. Yeah. But I really, like, I even remember the moment, because I was running when this happened too. I remember the moment when he just gently showed me that I was self-striving. And I remember how I felt. I felt like, it felt like, oh, that's what's happening. And this is what I need to do differently. You know, there was no self-hate with it. It was love. And that's what he does. You know, he loves us.
Who he is. Yeah.
So, so it started with opening my heart to him more, so that then I could see what he wanted for me.
That's awesome.
You know,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you pray for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, man, God, thank you so much for your life, for your love, for your direction. Thank you for always being there for us, for always staying by our side, and for just allowing us to fall into you over and over again. God, we just pray that for anyone watching, and for us, for Gretchen and I both, that we just continue to stay connected to you, and that if we don't know how, if we get wrapped up into the world or into our worries, that we open our heart and that we just sit still and just allow you to come in, because we know that you are there. We just pray for the EOCRC and all of the things that they're doing in our community, for our neighbors, for our Samaritans, for everyone involved, that we can just continue to keep you in our sight, just keep our eyes on you through this transition of this new community resource center that is going to change so many lives. And God, again, we just thank you and are just so grateful for everything that you do for us.